Good evening. My name is Kyle Cooper, and I'm the president of the Chicago Police Board, and I'm now calling the board's April 18th public meeting to order. We thank CAN TV for covering this meeting, as well as the host of other networks that are here with us tonight. It is being broadcast live on Channel 27 on CAN TV and live streamed at cantv.org and on the CAN TV app. Along with myself, we have the following board members attending in person this evening: Vice President, Ms. Paula Wolf, Mr. Stephen Block, Ms. Asia Carr-Favors, Ms. Mariley Cusack, Mr. Guion Foreman, Mr. Andreas Safakis, and board members Carr-Favors and Dorley are unable to attend this meeting in person and wish to attend remotely. Is there a motion to permit them to do so?
I move Paula Wolf. Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. In addition to the police board members, we have the following city officials here with us this evening. We have the superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, Mr. Larry Snelling. We have the chief administrator of the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, Ms. Andrea Kirsten. We have the deputy inspector general for public safety, Ms. Tabara Richardson. We have the deputy chief of Chicago Police Department's Bureau of Internal Affairs, Tracy Walker. We have the acting general counsel to the superintendent, Scott Spears, and the police board's executive director, Max Caproni, is also in attendance today. As you can see in the room, we also have several members of the public with us this evening, and I want to thank you all for attending this month's hearing. This is an important public forum, and we welcome your presence and appreciate your attendance. For those of you who are attending or viewing the very first police board meeting that you've been to, I just want to give a few words to the public as to how these meetings usually proceed. At each meeting, we set aside time at the end of the meeting for members of the public to provide their comments. The board values community input, and we have a process in place to ensure both responsiveness to the community's concerns and so that members of community can feel like their voices are heard. Members of the public are welcome to address questions and comments to the board, as well as to the city officials that are in attendance tonight. And I know that prior to the meeting that there was a sign up both outside of the doors of this conference and online. Before we get to the public comment portion of the meeting, however, we have a few regular agenda items that we need to consider. And I anticipate that this board's regular business will take about 10 minutes to get through. And due to pending litigation, which I will mention in more detail in a minute, we will not be announcing any disciplinary decisions tonight. We will then hear from Superintendent Snelling and then Chief Administrator of COPA, Ms. Andrea Kirsten, as they give their monthly reports. Following these reports, we will then have time for the many public comments and speakers that have signed up to speak tonight. We will now proceed to the items on the meeting's agenda. The first item is the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the drafts of the minutes of the board's public and closed meetings held on March 21st, 2024?
So moved Paula Wolf. Second. Mariley Cusack.
All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, the motion passes. Just for everybody's edification, the next regular public meeting is scheduled to take place on Thursday, May 16th at 7:30 p.m. And that meeting will be held where this meeting is being held, which is right here at the Chicago Public Safety Headquarters. The next item on the agenda is the closed meetings. The police board meets in executive session to discuss various matters. Those discussions are closed to the public as authorized by Section 2C1, 4, 11, and 21 of the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Information on matters discussed in these executive sessions is included in the minutes of the meetings posted on our website. Is there a motion to close a series of future executive sessions as authorized by these sections of the Open Meetings Act?
So moved Paula Wolf. Second. Mariley Cusack.
All in favor, please raise your hands and say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Seeing no hands, the motion passes. The next item on the agenda is an update on the arbitration. I am about to give a report on the status of the litigation on the arbitrator's ruling regarding police disciplinary cases, including an update on the status of the cases currently pending before the Chicago Police Board. As I reported at last month's meeting, on March 21st, Cook County Circuit Judge Michael Mullen issued his ruling that allows Chicago police officers to choose to have the most serious cases of police misconduct heard by an arbitrator rather than the police board. Since the circuit court ruling, and as noted on the police board's website, 16 Chicago police officers with disciplinary cases before the board have filed motions to transfer these cases to arbitration and to terminate the police board proceedings. The board is considering these motions and is awaiting notification as to whether the Fraternal Order of Police or the city will be appealing the circuit court ruling. I've learned very recently that the Fraternal Order of Police is in fact going to be appealing the decision made by Circuit Court Judge Mullen. The board will not be taking final action on police disciplinary cases this evening as a result of the pending litigation, as it is still not clear what the outcome of an appeal would be, and so at this time is choosing not to take any action. The police board website will continue to keep the public informed of any new developments in the litigation and of the status of the disciplinary cases currently before the board, and I encourage members of the public to check the news and police discipline section of our website for the most current information. The next item on the agenda is appeals by applicants to become Chicago police officers. When a person who applies to become a Chicago police officer is disqualified and removed from the eligibility list due to the results of a background examination, that person has a right to appeal that decision to the police board. The board, as authorized by the Open Meetings Act, has discussed in a closed meeting several appeals. We will now take final action on those appeals. Is there a motion to affirm the disqualification decision for the following appeals? 23AA44 and 45 and 24AA01 and 03.
So moved, Paula Wolf. Second, Ronnie Cusack.
I will now call on the members of the board for their votes. Ms. Paula Wolf?
Aye.
Mr. Stephen Block? Aye. Ms. Asia Carr Favors? Aye. I believe that was an aye. Ms. Mariley Cusack?
Aye.
Ms. Nanette Dorley?
Aye.
That was an aye. Mr. Guion Foreman?
Aye, but I recuse myself on 23AA44.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Mr. Andreas Afakis?
Aye.
I also vote in favor of the motion. Voting in favor are board members Wolf, Block, Carr Favors, Cusack, Dorley, Foreman, Safakis, and myself. The motion passes. The written decisions of these appeals will be posted, as they always are, on the police board's website. At this time, I would call on Superintendent Snelling to give his report.
Thank you, President Cooper, and to all of the board and all of the members of the board. Good evening. The first thing I'd like to start by saying is I want to send my condolences out to the family of a 9-year-old girl who was killed a few days ago. In that shooting, there were 4 children shot. 4 children. 2 of them are still in hospital with surgery. 1 of them is a 1-year-old. There were 7 other adults shot at that location. One of them was the mother of the 9-year-old who was killed tragically. Lost to senseless gun violence in this city. Children, babies being shot. Met with the parent, not the parents, but the family members, those who were not in the hospital, and good people, very good people, having a gathering for children. And their children were caught in gunfire. We just want to make it clear that this was a family of good people. This was not something that they were engaged in or involved in. They just happened to become victims that night. We have to stand with the families in these neighborhoods who have been victimized by this type of crime. It is extremely important when we look at children being murdered in our neighborhoods. We have to step up to that. I don't deter anybody from stepping up for anything that you believe in. Please step up for any and everything that you believe in. Speak up and speak out against anything that you feel is wrong. But please step up for these children in these neighborhoods who are losing their lives. It's that important. The trauma that this family was dealing with is just astronomical. You can see it in their faces. As a result of this, we set up our crime victim services unit, set up our emergency assistance center yesterday over in back of the yards, and it was a great turnout of people who came there to support. We had services there for the families, and it's the same services that our victim advocates will provide for anyone. And that's if you've been victimized. You don't have to be victimized today or tomorrow to get those services. If you know someone who has been victimized and you know they need services, you can reach out to our victim advocates and they will reach back to get you some help. To fight gun crime, we just launched our CJIC Center, and we've partnered with the ATF to do this. It's our Crime Gun Intelligence Center, and basically there's a bunch of federal, state, local partners, county partners, prosecutors, that when we're processing these guns, over the past 3-4 years, we have recovered over 12,000 guns a year. It's a lot of weapons to process. We put those through testing, through the NIBIN system, and we link those to other crimes that have been committed. This is a more professional, more intelligent way of dealing with gun crimes. This is the way that we're looking to do this for the future, the use of technology, and doing this in a more timely fashion. The launch of this CJIC Center is absolutely centered around gun violence and trying to get control over what's happening in the city. Even though we're down in homicides, we still have had 130 people murdered this year. It's too many. So we have to continue to work toward bringing violence down in this city. And I see people who are sitting here right now who do great work in these neighborhoods because you are concerned about your neighborhoods. I know it. I've walked the streets with you. And I'll let you know this right now. I will continue to do that. I will continue to walk the streets with you. It doesn't matter what happens, what's said, who gets in the way. I will continue to walk these streets with you and walk these neighborhoods with you because it's where I grew up. It's what I know. And I know what you're dealing with. I know that people are afraid to walk to their cars. I know people are afraid to step out of the house. I know people are afraid to let your children ride their bikes up and down the street. We have to work toward getting some safety back into our neighborhoods. We will do that. Now, I will tell you this right now. This department is training, we're working, and we're working toward developing a greater relationship with our community members. And we will continue to do that. There will be naysayers. Say nay. I won't, because I will continue to do the work that needs to be done to keep these neighborhoods safe. And for those of you who I know are out there putting your lives on the line every single day in your neighborhoods, trying to keep your neighborhood safe, thank you. Thank you for the work that you're doing, and we will always stand by you.
Thank you, Superintendent Snelling. I'd now ask Chief Administrator of COPA, Ms. Andrea Kirsten, to give her report.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Chicago Police Board, members of the public. In lieu of my monthly report, I'm going to read some prepared remarks to address some of the public discourse on a recent video released by my office. Police shootings and high-profile allegations of police misconduct are public safety issues, and the Civilian Office of Police Accountability is a public safety agency. When public safety incidents occur, leaders and high-ranking officials in those agencies tasked with investigating these incidents routinely brief the public on preliminary facts of the scope of their agency's investigations. The purpose of such briefings is to inform and assure the public regarding the handling of these events. Whether it's a train derailment, an update on recent robberies, or a fatal police shooting, the public has right to transparent communication regarding the facts as they are preliminarily known and the process surrounding the forthcoming investigation. Such briefings are routinely covered by local and sometimes national news media. This is uniquely different than the work of inspector generals or other administrative investigative agencies who often do their work and conduct their investigations under rigorous confidentiality protections. Here in Chicago, we have a long history of the police department and police unions providing preliminary information to the public in the wake of police shootings. The 2014 murder of Laquan McDonald and the lack of meaningful transparency regarding his death changed that. In 2016, COPA was created by City Council to provide an independent and transparent investigation of these critical public safety incidents. One of the core responsibilities of COPA under our ordinance is the timely and transparent publication of our work, which includes informing the public of ongoing operations of the agency, especially in instances that garner significant public interest. And perhaps the most critical responsibility we have is to fulfill the city's video release policy, which is now enshrined in the federal consent decree to ensure the timely and complete publication of all relevant materials in the aftermath of a police shooting. Our embodiment of those principles has evolved since COPA launched in 2017, but I sit before you today as the leader of an agency that is fulfilling its stated mission under our ordinance, approaching full compliance with our consent decree obligations, and consistently providing transparent and timely public information regarding our investigations. It is no mistake that COPA has increased its transparency and public communication under my leadership. In fact, it has been a specific focus of my tenure as Chief Administrator. In 2022, I created COPA's first Video Release and Transparency Unit to expedite our compliance with the video release policy and Freedom of Information Act requests that our agency receives. I also appointed a first deputy with a focus on communications and external affairs, and I began engaging the media more frequently to discuss COPA's work. I have specifically made clear my intent to begin holding press conferences and to address police shootings and other high-profile incidents when that is necessary. The first press conference I held was in July of 2023, in which I gave public comment regarding the preliminary facts of an open investigation into allegations of sexual misconduct involving an underage asylum seeker. My comments in that press conference stated that there was no identified victim, despite our efforts to locate one, which ultimately led to the accused officer being cleared of any wrongdoing at the conclusion of our investigation. There was virtually no meaningful criticism of those public comments. Last week's release of materials and my public comments pertaining to the fatal police shooting of Dexter Reed, in which an officer was also shot and wounded, have led to sharp criticisms. This criticism demonstrates a fundamental lack of understanding of COPA's role and process and smacks of hypocrisy. First and foremost, COPA has been engaged in issuing press statements to provide preliminary updates to the public in the aftermath of police shootings and other incidents since approximately 2018. COPA's press statements and police shootings routinely share information learned on scene from CPD, that we set forth observations and our initial analysis of video evidence, and provide notice when we have recommended an officer be relieved of their police powers. COPA is careful and deliberate in the drafting of these materials to ensure they remain factual and consistent with preliminary information. In the past, COPA has also issued press statements to correct misinformation that has emerged from both the Chicago Police Department and community groups during the early stages of police shooting investigations. The recitation of preliminary facts that I delivered to the public last week was objective, it was fair, and it struck the delicate balance between informing the public and maintaining the integrity of the ongoing investigations. However, some have called into question whether the involved officers should have been interviewed by COPA prior to making these statements. This demonstrates a fundamental lack of understanding of COPA's process and the legal framework we operate within. The one thing that would unquestionably taint the ongoing criminal investigation into this incident would be to make public statements that incorporate information learned from an officer's constitutionally protected interviews with COPA investigators. More specifically, an officer does not have Fifth Amendment rights to remain silent when they're talking to COPA investigators. They have to answer our questions. Therefore, sharing information learned through compelled statements made to COPA investigators could potentially jeopardize an ongoing criminal investigation. I want to make clear, no information has been shared related to any involved officer's compelled statements. And that's why it was imperative for me to brief the public on preliminary information prior to those statements occurring. Furthermore, COPA has been successfully balancing the interest in fulfilling our transparency obligations and maintaining the integrity of ongoing investigations since our agency's inception. In fact, we've worked in collaboration with external partners such as the Cook County State's Attorney's Office many times to conduct parallel administrative investigations when officers have ultimately gone on to be criminally indicted. Lastly, the preliminary stage of an investigation is the only time the public will hear from COPA about the facts of the case and the scope of the investigation until our final work is concluded. After those initial comments and video release, the public, the involved officers, and the impacted families will be left to wait for our investigation to conclude and our recommendations, if any, to be made. Given our city's long history and lack of trust in our institutions and processes that resolve these very issues, it is crucial to provide information to the public when we can. While providing public comment to the media is certainly an important function of the Chief Administrator's job, that is only one aspect of COPA's approach to providing transparent communication to and engagement with the public we serve. This week alone, I personally met with faith leaders on the West Side. I spoke to a group of CPS high school students in a pre-law program. Earlier today, I engaged with 50 newly promoted CPD leaders in a sergeant's promotional class. And this week, I sat with parents who lost their son in a fatal police shooting last year because I had to update them on our agency's open investigation. Each and every week, COPA staff is participating in community engagement efforts throughout the city as we continue to educate and inform the public about our work. In an age of disinformation, particularly surrounding polarizing events such as police shootings, it is the responsibility of the Chief Administrator to use all platforms, including the media, to educate and inform the public and deliver meaningful transparency on these consequential occurrences. When I became Chief Administrator, I promised to deliver an even greater level of transparency to the City of Chicago regarding my agency's work. The events of last week are just the most recent example of me keeping that promise. Going forward, the public can expect to receive continued transparency and communication from me and the agency I lead. The work of true reform requires nothing less. Thank you.
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. To say, this is misleading at best. Misleading. When we talk about an officer being interviewed, when you make statements and you put them out in the public, you're framing the mind of the people before the video is even released. Excuse me.
Can we please have some decorum, please?
Allow me to finish. There is nothing wrong with transparency. Transparency is of the utmost importance. But when information is leaked prior to releasing the video, when statements are made without all of the information, an investigation has to begin. And if we're starting by putting it out in the public in a manner which we frame it, and we expect the public to see it the way we want them to see it, it's problematic. This is why I have made no statements about this shooting. I've made no statements about it because I don't want to poison the well when it comes to this shooting. I believe that the shooting should be investigated 100%.
Please,
I
can we have some
believe-
decorum?
And your comments is out of line. Order. It's not made. in-
Excuse me.
Mark, please.
At this point, the chief administrator said that the person who made those comments was uninformed. The bottom line is this: anytime we do an investigation, whether it's internally, externally, COPA should exist. There should be an oversight body. They should exist. But the bottom line is this: it doesn't exist to create a bias. Every single investigation should be carried out the way it's supposed to be carried out, with transparency, but with 100% professionalism. There is transparency. The video was released. But if we don't do these investigations properly, it jeopardizes the integrity of that investigation. That's a good question. What about 76 and a 9-year-old child? The bottom line is this.
Excuse me.
Here's the bottom line.
Please let the superintendent finish his
Let me
remarks.
finish.
We'll have
The
public
bottom
comment
line is
afterwards.
this. The bottom line is this. The Chicago Police Department right now is cooperating 100%. This is why the Chicago Police Department has not made any statement to taint this investigation. We will continue to make sure that this is investigated properly. You will not find me on the Stephen A. Smith show.
Thank you, Superintendent Snelling. Chief Administrator Kirsten.
I stand on my statements. And the work of my agency. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. As I promised at the beginning of this meeting, one of the important goals of this forum is it allows the public to voice their concerns and comments and to speak with the city's elected officials. And so I'd like to do that at this time, to first turning to the people who have signed up to speak. And so with that, I would like to call Ms. Shawanda Battle to the podium. I would just say, as I'm sure if you can all look around the room, there's a lot of invested citizens here today. And in order to ensure that everybody's voices is heard and that there's time for everybody to say what they need to say, that you limit your comments to 2 minutes, and we will be keeping track of that time and vigorously enforcing that time frame. So I just wanted to put that out there in advance. But at this time, Ms. Battle, if you are in attendance and still wish to speak, please come to the podium. Not seeing Ms. Battle. Is there a Mr. Bobby Kennedy who's here and would like to speak?
Yeah, I'm right here, but 2 minutes, I was thinking, they said 15 minutes, so I'm now.
We would be here all night, Mr. Kennedy, if it was 50 minutes. Mr. Kennedy, I don't mean to interrupt, but if you could Please, ma'am, and for the speakers, there is a podium here that allows you to make your comments.
Yeah, I get 2 minutes. Look, I was complaining about, I sent some letters to the board about the police cars. You have the rainbow police cars. You have these rainbow police cars you're putting on the street now. You know what I'm talking about? You got a few of them alive. But anyway, my question is, these police cars, a lot of people I talk to don't even think they're police cars. And so what is the mission of these police cars?
I think your question may be directed to Superintendent Snelling.
Sir, can you repeat that question?
You got these rainbow police cars. I was putting them out. Rahm Emanuel started this after the Pride Parade. And now I know you got 3 or 4 of them out on the street. So what is the mission of these police cars? I think that the money for the police cars and the police officers is better spent in neighborhoods where, you know, instead of running around like a PR thing. So I'm just asking these here, I don't think you're gonna be able to get to anything. Someone just give you this and you get back to me. I got my address on me.
All right, sir, listen, I'll answer your question here. Those police cars represent the LGBTQ community.
Please, can we have some decorum?
It's not to represent you. We have affinity officers who work in all of those communities. And that's what it represents. It's that simple.
I talked to Carla Johnson, and she told me it's because you have to show support for the gay neighborhood. And my thought is, what about all these other people that are being abused, like the Jewish community right now? Should you put a Jewish police car out there? I'm just saying, it should be just Chicago police officers, period. That's all it should be. One cop car, one type of officer. And I guess I'll not take up more of your time. I got more here, and I gave it to you. Maybe we'll talk another time.
Got it.
Thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Excuse me. I would just implore the people who want to make public comments, who've signed up, if we could have a little bit of decorum so that everybody can voice what it is that they need to communicate to not only the people up here, but the people who are listening as well. I think it's going to help the conversation and make your voices heard a little bit clearer. So if you could respect the speakers who are coming up, even if you disagree with what they may have to say, I think we might find that this might go a little bit smoother than it's going. So with that, I would like to call Ms. Grace Patino, if she is here to the stand.
Hi, can you hear me?
Can't hear you.
Hi, better?
Yes.
My name is Grace. I'm a member of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. I want to start by saying that Dexter Reed should be here today. There's a narrative in the media that Dexter fired first at officers, but the footage released by COPA does not make that clear. But what is clear is that Dexter was unarmed when he came out of his car, despite officers continuing to shoot at him. It is clear that he was dying and in need of immediate medical help as officers pulled his arms out from underneath his body and handcuffed him. It is clear in the first video released by COPA that following the shooting, Officer Spanos asks, "Did he start shooting at us?" This was after Officer Spanos discharged his gun 34 times. After 34 shots fired, he had no idea whether Dexter had shot at anyone. And it is unmistakably clear that you can hear a female officer responding, "Don't say anything." The officers involved in the execution of Dexter Reed must be immediately fired and prosecuted to the fullest extent possible of the law. And if they choose the arbitration route, I am inviting the police board to stand with us and the people and take up our demand that these officers be fired. These death squads in Chicago, also known as TAC teams, need to be disbanded. We need an immediate end to pretextual traffic stops, and Larry Snelling should be fired.
Drew Lovell has signed up to speak next. Mr. Lovell, if you are here. Not seeing Mr. Lovell. Is there a Ray Cooge who's here? A Miracle Boyd?
My name is Miracle Boyd. I can take this off. Can I?
I think it's actually glued on
I'm
there.
too short. That's uncomfortable. Please take it off. Today, many community members and advocates are standing here to make our demands clear regarding several specific issues. The loss of Dexter Reed was tragic and detrimental to Black communities that continue to suffer from state violence. We demand the tactical units be banned and Mayor Johnson, Superintendent Snelling, and COPA fire the officers responsible for the execution of Dexter Reed. Chicago police officers never served or protected young people or Black people in communities that experience the most harm and violence. Dexter was murdered on a residential block while police fired 96 shots, striking their own vehicle, and continued to fire at him as he exited his vehicle. He could have been apprehended, but instead, the tactical unit officers fired 96 rounds at Dexter as if he needed to be tranquilized, as if he was an animal. Our communities never voiced concerns of wanting armed militia policing us and dictating our community's activities. When communities of colors and our families say that police should be defunded and those resources be put back into our communities, you need to listen to us. When we say tactical units need to be disbanded, you need to listen to that. We no longer need police to perform traffic stops because it's not safe. Our communities have firsthand accounts of historical institutional racism within the Chicago Police Department. The officers who executed Dexter Reed were not a bad bunch, and even account for 41 additional investigative complaints resulting from traffic stops. Superintendent Snelling, just last week and today, you scolded COPA about their shared findings regarding Dexter Reed. So how can we believe that there is transparency within the Chicago Police Department?
Thank you, Ms. Boyd. Your time is up.
No, I'm not done.
Ms.
being
Boyd?
polite. I'm being polite.
Ms. Boyd,
I got a few more sentences. Ms.
all right.
Boyd, nothing.
Please finish up. Thank you.
As a trained restorative justice circle keeper, I believe in transformative justice. Police does not equal safety, and neither does ShotSpotter. Violence prevention and restorative justice brings us safety, affordable housing, passing the peace book, treatment not trauma, and reparations bring us safety. We demand an end of police officers and their military weapons to no longer police us. It only takes one bullet to kill someone. There should be no question why tactical unit officers fired 96 shots. Snelling.
Is there a Kobe Gilroy in attendance?
They didn't want to let him in. Y'all took away the seat. Shame on y'all.
Carolyn Ruff? Is there a Carolyn Ruff?
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Thank you. I stand in front of you tonight as a citizen, taxpayer, activist, freedom fighter, and a servant leader in Chicago. Black Lives Matter, Women of Faith, stand in solidarity with Dexter Reed family. His father, mother, Nicole, sister, brothers, aunts, uncles, and the entire family demanding justice for their beloved son, Dexter Reed. 2014, Laquan McDonald was shot 16 times just walking down the street. He was followed by Chicago police, and he was executed by Jason Van Dyke, shooting him 16 times even when he was laying on the ground, he was still shooting him. I will never forget that. I have his badge on and I wear it every day in his memory. In 2024, 10 years later, Dexter Reed was shot 96 times in 41 seconds by 4 Chicago police. He was also executed by 4 police officers on March 21st, 2014. As an activist in the city of Chicago, Illinois, and the founder of Black Lives Matter, Women of Faith, we demand that the 4 officers are fired from their duty. They are a threat to the society. And let me finish this, and Black and brown people. Why was Dexter stopped? Why was Dexter stopped on a seatbelt violation? Because he did not have a seatbelt on. How could they see that he did not have a seatbelt on? When I saw the video, it looks like his car windows were tinted. He was really racially profiled. Brandon Johnson, you are not the mayor when we all were protesting to get justice for Laquan McDonald and protesting because Rahm Emanuel covered up 16 shots. Now that you are the mayor in this great city, so you claim, we want justice for Dexter Reed.
Thank you, Ms. Ruff.
Mayor Brandon Johnson, you got blood on your hands. Superintendent Larry Snaling, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. You got blood on your hands. State Attorney Kim Fox, you got blood on your hands. State Attorney Anita Alvarez lost her job because of Laquan McDonald.
Ms. Ruff,
Let me finish.
you're over your time.
Finish.
Ms. Ruff,
Yes.
you're over your time. Thank you. We have a lot of people who want to speak today.
But 4 people were missing, so let me finish.
If you could please finish up, we'd appreciate it.
If you stop interrupting me, I will.
The floor is yours,
That's
ma'am.
all I'm saying. Several of the 11 district officers involved in Reed's shooting are under investigation for additional complaints of alleged misconduct during traffic stop, document obtained by Block Club Show. CPD Superintendent Larry Snelly, I'm sorry, I can't pronounce your name.
It's fine.
Has refused to strip the officers involved of their police power despite a corporate recommendation to do in an April letter. The letter also raises serious concern about validity of the traffic stop, given Reed's tinted windows and the officer limited time inside his car. We demand justice for Dexter Reed. We took the street in 2015, 2016. We will take the street in 2024 if these officers are not fired.
Thank you, Ms. Ruff.
Let me finish, I'm almost done. They are a threat to society. They are supposed to serve and protect, not to kill. I say no justice. No peace. I say no justice. No peace. Let me finish. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, shut it down. Shut this city down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. If we don't get it, shut it down. Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Ms. Ruff. I'd now like to call Ms. Donna Oliver to the podium.
Justice for Dexter Reed. Justice for Dexter Reed.
board members, Superintendent Snelling, and citizens of Chicago. This is part of a safe housing idea. Together we can, together we will is the brainchild of Commander Roderick Watson, ex-commander of Area 2. The sole purpose of this idea is to eliminate years of division between the community and the police. His plan worked. More citizens are coming out and taking events sponsored and taking part by the police, Operation Neighborhood Safety, Communities Organized to Win, Talking Trash are just a few of the organizations that come together to stand up with our sisters and brothers in blue to build the trust and sense of our security in our neighborhood. Thumbs Up, which you have in front of you, is to serve as a beacon of encouragement to those officers who safeguard us throughout the night until early morning. This symbol, posted in homes and businesses across the city, serves as a reminder that we appreciate them taking the night shift, putting their lives on the line as a turn from side to side in our comfortable beds. We are citizens telling you that we stand with you. Excuse me, please.
Please.
Thank you. And take down criminal acts and behavior. Just to break this up, if anybody should hate the police, it should be me. My cousin served 35 years in prison for a crime he did not do. I am still a product of the Chicago police, of a police family. I proudly stand behind my brothers and sisters in blue who put their lives on the line at night for me. And yes, my ass is right here from Inglewood in Chicago, Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Oliver. Carlos Zapata is the next speaker we have on the list.
I'm gonna keep it brief because I want other people to speak. I would like to say that if those two officers or several officers that are involved in that shooting don't get immediately arrested, thrown in jail, I'm talking about like fired, all types of stuff. Because I saw the video and the video was very problematic, and I feel very unsafe right now because the FOP president is sitting among us. This man is right here, and this man has called me so many racial slurs during a protest several years back that I've been shaken. I've even had his officers, his little goon squad, come up to me and say, man, if you protest or say something about the Chicago police ever again, you will not be speaking anymore. You hear me, boy? This guy right here, this guy, his people, his little goon squad over there around Jefferson Park, the 16th district. Yep, and the fact of the matter is that I still have courage and the heart to come here in front of all these people and tell that these people are wrong. And you know what? We want justice, and there will not be no peace because, you know, the next time that something like this might happen, we might not be talking. There might be riots in the streets like 2020 all over again. It would be chaos, and guess what? It will not stop until we get justice, okay? Until there is change. They need, you know what? They need to fire this guy right here. He's the one that's been causing all the institutionalized racism, the cancer that's spreading in the CPD. He is a part of the system, and he should be sitting right here on this board right here with you guys. Because right here, he does not represent us, and the fact that we got this devil sitting among us, it just makes me... make it make sense, please. Make it make sense, okay? All I gotta say is get up, stand up for your rights, and get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Bob Marley.
Thank you, Mr. Zawada. Dodd McCulkin. Is there a Dodd here? Thank you. Thank you.
My name's Dob McColgan. I'm a co-chair with the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression. Say his name. Dexter Reed. Say his name. Dexter Reed. We have to do that because Superintendent Snelling will not say his name. There are a couple of other names that I think we need to learn as a result of this incident. Those names are Alexander Jampapa, Thomas Spanos, Gregory St. Louis, Victor Pacheco, and Aubrey Webb. These are the specific officers who need to be immediately fired in this case. And these are the specific officers who Superintendent Snelling refused to strip policing powers from in this case, just as he refused to strip policing powers from them in the previous case that they were already under investigation for. And if he had done so at that time, Dexter Reed may still be alive as he should be. So we need their powers immediately stripped. And I understand the FOP has fought and maneuvered in order to undermine the power of this board. And that is a travesty. That is a shame. And members of this board stood bravely with us as we fought the arbitration provision in their contract. Their contract that in and of itself is a cover-up. That FOP contract is a cover-up itself. It's there to enable cover-ups. And many of you stood bravely with us as we fought that arbitration decision in City Council, and we need you again to stand bravely with us, because I heard you say the word choose. While this is still being considered by the courts, you are saying that you're making a choice to not continue hearing these cases. Even if the law is preventing you from hearing these cases, we need you to stand up and step out in whatever way you can to call for the firing of these officers. We need these officers off of the streets. We shouldn't have to learn their names in order to look out for their names on a badge that might be policing in the neighborhoods that we live and work and try to survive in. And so this needs to happen immediately.
Thank you. Is there a Zoe Lee? Is there a Zoe Lee? Looks like Zoe is coming to the mic.
I came here for a situation that's happening with my family, but since I'm here supporting Jasmine, we need money for our communities. It's going to continue to happen. We have nothing in our communities. The South Side and the West Side have nothing. Y'all continue to push for affordable housing, but no mental health resources. Kids, black kids, we're technology, gamers, social media. We have nothing in our communities. So it's going to continue to happen. 1968, the Democratic National Convention. Y'all saw how that happened. The Vietnam War, it went crazy. It's going to happen again this year. Summertime shy is going to summertime like it's never summertime before. People are mad. People are angry. And it's not fair. And this is a different generation. We got technology now, we got social media. So all this media that angles different things, like, y'all make money off of our deaths. You know? I call it a hashtag package. Say your name, say his name, civil rights attorney, fake outrage, protest, no legislation. And it continues to happen. We are never going to win unless we get legislation. And that's just what it is. It's going to be it's a cycle. It's going to be a cycle. It's going to continue to be a cycle. So instead of finding money for everything but our communities, why don't y'all start there? 200 kids went to Target in River North. They're going to continue to come downtown and fuck downtown up. Because y'all don't have shit for us in our communities.
Say that.
So please, work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Leo Carver. Is there a Leo Carver who still wishes to make a statement? Keith McElmore. Mr. Matt Brandon.
Good evening, members of the board. Superintendent,
Morning.
appreciate the job.
How we
you're
doing?
I'm glad you called me after a young man who came up talking about things that are needed in the South Side. Real quick with that, and where's that young man? If you raise your hand so I can talk to you at the end. Did he leave?
No, he's on the
Okay.
other side.
Well, anyway, in Grand Crossing, there's a program called Exchange, and it involves tech apprenticeships that are being done through SDI, which is the company who has the computers with the City of Chicago, with the Police Department, with the Park District. They have a call center going up in Grand Crossing under the United Way. We've been in conversations with the Chicago Mercantile Exchange for a tech apprenticeship program. Those programs are going on, so I hope I can catch the young man. On the issue of transparency, transparency is something that we all want, but we want it after the fact, not before the fact. Preliminary facts don't always bear out. I've always supported the work that you've done. I think that you do some good work. There are police that need to be dealt with. But I think you do a disservice when you go out before everything has been investigated. And I think that creates the type of atmosphere that we have here today. It was a tragedy that happened to Dexter, absolutely. But you need to wait until all the facts come out so that the community has the facts. They can wait. These people are smart enough to know what they see.
That's right.
And they can judge for themselves what the facts are. But when you go out to be transparent before the community has a chance to say anything, the superintendent has a chance to investigate, you're not helping the cause. So yeah, we want transparency, but we want it after the fact.
Is there a Keith M? Excuse me, please. Excuse me. Excuse me. Thank you. Is there a Keith M who still wishes to speak? Josh Smith? Jennifer Maddox?
Jennifer's over. Oh, is she talking? Because Jennifer's over there.
Good evening, board. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Very good. Can you hear me now?
That's better.
Thank you very much. I had planned on yielding my time, considering the emotionalism that sometimes does not permit us to do our best thinking. And I'm just wondering whether my neighbors here, who are certainly, it appears to be grieving and in pain, if I may be able to call on them when I am in crisis, when my neighborhood in Grand Crossing is being challenged and we can't come out of our front door because of challenges that other people who live in our community are causing against us. Who shall we call? What name shall we call? Shall I call Miracle? Whoever that name was? I want to know. And I will certainly wait until afterwards. If you are available, if there is a force that we can call, please let us know.
So can you depend on CPD? You might wind up dead like my son.
Ma'am, please, if we could let Miss Edwards have her time. She was respectful for everybody else who spoke. Smith, sorry, Miss Smith.
But I thank you all for coming here and at least being civically engaged. That's the best part of this, is that you are civically engaged. I encourage you to learn the process and the system and continue to be civically engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. The next person I have listed is a DO. Miss Erin White. Mr. John Canizara. Oh, sorry.
First, want to say that Dexter Reed should be alive. We can see in the videos, I mean, we talk about transparency and an investigation. It just, as it's been playing out, it's just giving more time before justice is had. It's giving more time to come up with a story, get rid of whatever you have. You know, we've already seen what we've seen, and none of it has shown. Why would we be trying to prove that there was some reason that he should have been killed? Well, we don't see that. What we see is that he was murdered, and he didn't shoot anyone. Nobody can see that. He was assassinated. These officers were already, most of the officers were already being investigated for harassing in traffic stops. They were, thank you. 11 open COPA investigations. So how can we have faith in this when this is what's been happening? Where's the justice in any of those investigations? If they had been, so yeah, I mean, we already know. You need to know that we are not fooled by any of this. You need to know that we will continue to fight for Dexter Reed and for all of these lives that you have taken. So, yeah, so.
Thank you. Mr. John Canizara. Please, can we, please. Can we have some decorum in the room, please? I understand there's a lot of emotions, but can we please have some decorum in this room? Please. Thank you. Mr. Canizara.
First of all, I want to say thank you.
Please.
Are you going to clear? Are you going to start clearing the room or what?
Can we please have some decorum? Thank you. I understand there's a lot of emotions. Please, can we allow the speaker to use his 2 minutes uninterrupted? Thank you. Please, it's going to take longer, and he's going to stand up there longer if you don't let him go on. I don't want to have anybody removed, so if we could please just have some decorum, that would be great. Mr. Canizaro, please.
As I started to say, I wanted to say thank you for the board and the police board's understanding that an ongoing litigation is more important than pushing forward on cases that might have to be re-adjudicated. So thank you. And if this board had done similar things for the last several years, we may not even be having this conversation. But I'm not going to waste time trying to explain legal precedent for the Dexter shooting. But someone said something really kind of strange, but it just goes to show you the mindset here that you caused with your press conferences and thank you for turning off the Stephen A. Smith shot clock, by the way, but your press conferences and your comments publicly, and now it's inciting people to have absolutely inaccurate statements and untruthful statements being said. To say 5 officers need to be stripped immediately, including Officer St. Louis, who was inches away from being murdered with the first shot that was fired.
Please.
It just goes to show what you did by putting out a press conference. Are you gonna?
Please. Ladies and gentlemen, please. Excuse me. Excuse me. Please. I know there's a lot of emotion.
No, he should be threatening her.
Please. I'm going to allow Mr. Cannizzaro to speak just like we allowed everybody else to speak here. Please, he's free to say whatever he wants to say in 2 minutes, just like you all were free to say. Mr. Cannizzaro, please go ahead.
You talk about transparency in your very carefully crafted statement. I don't need a statement in front of me to tell you the truth. You might, because your truth keeps changing. And thank God for Superintendent Snelling, who was part of a command channel review for many years now, who saw your progressively biased opinions coming out of COPA since you took over as chief administrator. It has led to multiple, and I stress multiple, unfair labor practice complaints that have been sustained against your organization under your leadership. You now have one of your right-handed people accused, at least not investigated yet. I hope the Inspector General takes up about a PPP loan while she's supposedly full-time investigated. But lastly, about transparency, you actually uttered the word transparency. But no.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, please. He's finishing up his comments now, and we'll move on to the next speaker as soon as he finishes.
You talk about transparency. However, COPA was not transparent at all when they commissioned an investigation of the Robert Riamo shooting, where the investigator that your company hired said there was nothing wrong with that shooting, and you sat on that result. They also did not actually transparently let the public know that you commissioned another use of force expert in the Eric Stillman shooting with Adam Toledo, who said there's nothing here. And your organization told him that's not the result we were looking for. That's not the answer we were looking for. That's not very transparent. Sitting on the investigation.
Mr. Cannizzaro, your time's up.
Shame on you. Resign.
Please, can we have some decorum here? Please. 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 Hey, please. We're gonna need to have some decorum in here, or people are gonna have to be removed from the meeting. There's a lot of passion in this room, and that's understandable, but let's not direct at the people in the audience, please. The next, Chantel Brooks is the next person on the list. Gloria Pinnix. Is there a Gloria Pinnix in the room? Dorothy Home.
I wasn't gonna speak, but this shit take me back to 2014 when my son was murdered on 53rd King Drive by Detective George Hernandez. And then Laquan McDonald's got murdered like 6 to 8 days after my son was murdered. That was 16 shots in the cover-up. So you mean to tell me you can shoot at somebody 96 times in 40 seconds and that shit justifiable? It's not. Right. Y'all need to stop that. My son had 5 kids when George Hernandez murdered him. And Anita Alvarez enhanced the video to make it seem like my son had a gun in his hand. The gun that they put on my son They took his DNA, which was his blood, and dabbed it on the barrel of the gun. And y'all, the money that y'all giving us to keep us quiet, y'all can keep that shit. Cause I can't buy my baby back. $2 million ain't worth a person's life. That's some bullshit. And it's still a cover up, and I ain't going nowhere. I don't care who in here recording, whatever y'all recording or posting, that money that y'all ready to pay, I'm getting ready to give my son Casey open back up with that. Hernandez must be held accountable for murdering my son. If we have more mothers concerned like I am besides taking that money and y'all making them sign them papers not to talk about that case, fuck y'all, I'm writing a book.
Bella Boss.
First of all, fuck y'all. I love y'all.
All right.
We love you.
All right. We love you too.
I got a list of stuff, so I'm gonna try to run through it. The way that they pulled up on Dexter was crazy. That's unacceptable. That's why we're trying to end these pretextual traffic stops. There's no way you can tell me you pulling him over for a seatbelt. Why is you pulling up in front of somebody's car, hopping out on them like that, surrounding their car? Even if it hadn't ended in a tragic way it ended, y'all bogus. Y'all should be called to account for that, period. You can't just pull up on people like that. That's not cool. We already feel the most anxiety, the most fear in our heart when y'all coming up behind us anyway. So imagine somebody pulling up on you like that and you talking about remain calm. Then the way you talk to people. The way you talk to people. Can't no other employees be on the clock talking to people like that. How is you on duty talking to people? Get out the fucking car, you motherfucker. Like, come on, bro. You're not professional. But the way that y'all professionalize the violence, the way that y'all professionalize the violence is Snell, and then you every time we talking about what's going on with y'all, what y'all doing wrong. Well, what about the 9-year-old? Well, what the fuck did you do about it? You didn't stop it.
That's right.
Also, it's two different sets of rules. Y'all officers have not even been interviewed yet. It's been a month. It's been a month. You know, like, come on, bro. Imagine. Then you talking about you can't say certain stuff in the media because it's gonna poison the well. Y'all do that to our community members every single day. Every single day you posting people mug shots. You making them get in trouble with their jobs, all type of stuff before they have their day in court. So please, come on. Now y'all telling us two different sets of rules. My people over here, that could have been y'all kids. Y'all tripping. That could have been y'all kids. We all could get this experience. It's not cool. It's not acceptable. The way y'all pulled up, the way y'all talked to that man was unacceptable. These are mobile checkpoints. The same thing we fight in Palestine. And shit like these are mobile checkpoints. It could be anywhere. That's not cool. We're not gonna have it.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles.
Sir, I'm gonna keep talking.
If you could wrap up your remarks in the next 30 seconds.
I got you.
Thank you.
I got you, brother. I'm gonna wrap it up. I didn't see him shoot first. Y'all keep telling me that shit. Y'all keep telling me that he shot the police officer. I did not see that. Did none of y'all see that? Just you could tell me it 1,000,000 times, that don't mean I saw that. That don't mean that that's what happened. Y'all lie every single day. I didn't see that. Did none of y'all see that? I don't care what y'all say. You watched the same video I saw. You didn't see that man shoot him. But as far as we know, one of your other officers shot him. So stop talking about all the violence in our community, black on black crime. Let's talk about this police on police crime, okay? Y'all shooting y'all damn selves. Looking dumb.
All right, thank you, Ms. Bowles.
Hold on, I'm gonna say this one last thing. Because I really want to help y'all out too. Because we got black people on that side of the badge. I really want to help save y'all lives too. So, stop the traffic stops, bro. Stop looking for shit. You looking. You specifically pulling people over who you believe has guns in the car, who you believe got warrants, who you believe got... You trying to get yourself killed or get somebody else killed. Y'all, they setting y'all up for dummy missions. Don't Don't let them do that shit. Y'all can export that, outsource that to a department that don't got guns. You pull me over, I know you ain't got no gun. You just finna give me a ticket. I'ma go home to my kids. You wanna go home to your kids. We gonna save some lives on both sides of the badge. Let's get it done.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles. Is there a Joseph? A Joseph? I don't have a last name.
Joseph who?
Just Joseph. Asmi Smith? Oh, Jasmine Smith.
Y'all got that little white boy in our neighborhood playing Grand Theft Auto. Y'all gonna get his ass kicked. 23 years old on the tax here.
Thank you, Ms. Bowles. Ms. Smith?
Hello, everyone, and hey, my people. I am activist Jasmine Smith. I am with Chicago Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression, and I'm a member, co-chair, and executive member of this organization, and I also fight for the campaign to free incarcerated, tortured, innocent survivors and wrongfully convicted. So I just want to say that accountability has never looked the same as far as civilians and police, and that time is up, and it really needs to change, because when you speak about public safety and when you speak about communities and these kids getting killed, let's go to the beginning. How the jails, these godforsaken slave ships, was open to snatch black men and brown and black men out of their homes, breaking up homes and leaving these kids fatherless to raise their kids. And they speak about how, again, there's no funding in these neighborhoods purposely, so these kids could turn to other things outside of being constructive and having something to do other than looking at the negative stuff that's put out there on social media, or listening to this corrupted music and things, everything that's corrupting these kids' brains. And then you talk about accountability and Superintendent Snelling. There's no way in the world that y'all think that a police can kill someone, can shoot someone down, and not be tried just like a regular civilian. I keep telling y'all, y'all are humans just like us. Y'all bleed just like us. There's no way that it's a contract made to where they have 24 hours, 48 hours to come up with a story of misconduct or incidents that's happening. It's not fair, it's not right, because when we commit crimes, y'all lock us up and we're in prison while we're being tried and while we're being heard. They should be the same way. There's no way that you can sit up and make a appearance. You say you didn't make a statement, you did make a statement. You said you're not taking nobody, stripping nobody of their duties while there's an investigation going. That's not fair, that's not transparency, and that's not them being held accountable. They should not even be on the streets. They should not even be able to perform any duties until we know indeed they did not deliberately kill that young man. But the cameras in the video show that it was an overkill.
Thank you, Ms. Smith.
Oh, that felt like less than 2 minutes. But there needs to be accountability, and until the police are held accountable just like regular civilians, you will not get no peace in the streets. And until the funding is put in those communities, those kids are going to keep being derailed and killing each other because y'all don't have nothing in place, and y'all purposely did that. So fix what y'all put in place for us to stop killing each other, and fix what y'all put in place for these police to never be held accountable, because it's going to be another uprising. So y'all saying that that young man shot first is not going to stop what's to come. Fix the
Thank you,
problem,
Ms. Smith.
and that's your police.
Thank you. Aslam Pulley.
This is very uncomfortable. Y'all had a better situation before, so I don't know what happened, but you should fix the mic.
Noted, we will.
I want to say a few things. One, I want to say that democracy is hard. And the comments that we're hearing from Snelling and from Catanzara illustrate that change, the old guard has lost its way. And the old guard has lost power. And you guys, you're right. this would not have been possible, was not possible 10 years ago when we were here fighting for Rukia, when we were here fighting for Ronnie Man, when we were here fighting for Gloria's son, Darius Pinex, when we were here fighting for Michael Wesley. It was not possible. So what has happened is that a mass movement has democratized part of the city government in Chicago. And so we have a democratic institution called COPA that was formed that now is offering transparency for the first time in our history. And so the police rightfully are feeling very uncomfortable with that because this hasn't existed before. This needs to be deepened. This needs to be deepened. And I really hope that the police board here, that you all are committed to democracy and not authoritarianism. Because the people who lament about democracy tend to be fascists. Very famously, it was Mussolini who talked about it was simpler to just have the trains run on time when being a fascist because democracy was hard. There's a long history of authoritarian entities complaining about democracy, and that's what's happening. That's what Snelling's comments were in reference to. That's what Catanzara and why the FOP keeps fighting the democratic process, even though they've lost every single time around arbitration. I want to also say that I have extreme love for all my family who has lost people to gun violence. I have lost people to gun violence. But we need to know that fighting gun violence with more police does not work. If it worked, we wouldn't have gun violence. We have the largest police per 100,000 people in the country. It doesn't work. What we do know that works scientifically based on study after study after study is that societies where the gap between the rich and poor are widest have the largest intracommunal violence. This is a societal
Thank you, Ms.
problem.
Pauline. Thank you, Ms. Pauline.
I want to also just say one more thing, that these tactical teams need to be disbanded. It was a lie. He was not pulled over for a traffic stop. They could not see his seatbelt. They could not see that through tinted windows. It was a lie. The truth is that these tactical teams use that method of jumping out. They're called jump out boys. Of jumping out on people in the community looking for something to justify having guns pulled on them.
Thank you, Ms. Pauline.
That is unconstitutional, it's injustice, and it's an oppressive tactic in our communities that incites violence. Regardless of whether or not Dexter Reed had a gun in the car or whether he shot first, when he walked out of that car, he was not holding anything. That is what we saw. And he was shot after walking out of that car 96 times in 41 seconds. That is what is at stake here. He was not holding a gun when he walked out of that car. Therefore, the police officers who fired 96 shots in 41 seconds need to be fired. We have a democratic body.
Thank you, Ms. Pauline.
It's incumbent upon the police board to use your power to fire them.
Thank you. Mark Clemente. Is there a Mark Clemente here? Oh. Go, Mark. Mark Clement, apologies.
Yep, Mark Clements, and I want that to be very clear. And for the first time since I have been born, I would really say this young lady is on the right track.
Yes, she is.
We love you.
We love you.
I was tortured by police. So you want me to be a little black guy
Come on now, Mark. Say it.
with a nigger uncle, Mark Davis, commander, who basically was tormented. So my practice each and every day is to represent the interests of men and women that have been tortured dehumanized by members of the Chicago Police Department having electrical shock boxes connected to their genitals and going through the OPS and other areas of this so-called investigative team within the Chicago Police Department. It's pretty fucked up. It's pretty fucked up that this man right here got his ass beat with batons. And I'm not disrespecting you, Brother Foreman. I'm just saying, it's wrong. Right. No black person here in America should be lynched. And then what we want to say is this. We want to say that we are about transparency. We can't be about transparency, my brother. No, when you have torture complaints, your own self. That's my job. So you put this lady down.
Yes.
Never have been done here in these police meetings. They let Cooper say what she's going to say, and you move on.
Right.
Want me to tell you, if there's any integrity in Brandon Johnson,
Come on now.
uh-oh, you need to be fired, my brother.
Thank you.
Or to apologize to this lady for what you have done to her. Do you know what trauma look like? Do you honestly, my brother, know what trauma look like?
Thank you, Mr. Clement.
Just 1 second. Trauma looks like you take a bunch of black and brown people and you whoop their goddamn asses inside of police stations, and you all fucking protect John Burge. You all fucking protect Raymond Navarro.
Thank you, Mr. Clement.
You fucking protect these dirty people. That's wrong.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Cooper, hold on, Mr. Cooper.
90 seconds.
Out of all fairness, with this entire board, y'all need to debunk, go down, and seriously reach the fucking guts, because you're playing with human being lives, and this shit.
Thank you, Mr. Clement. The next speaker is Jesus Quinaga. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Jesus, Jesus Quiroga.
Can't hear you.
I'm sorry to hear. I'm not going to fight with you, but I have my own issues here. I am a parent, and Mrs. Coppola, if you would like to take notes on this, this is a cover-up that has been going on since 2010. I am talking about the sex, the rapes, the sex abuse that has happened in Chicago public schools. I filed the police report in 2010, and nothing has happened. It's been a cover-up under Johnson, McCarthy, and everybody else. You can find my wrongful conviction. It's People versus Quiroga that came down in 2015. I'm here and still nothing has happened. Why does a Mexicano have to beg for justice for 2010? This is for the safety of children. Mine's a disabled child, okay? We're not talking about an adult versus a child. This is a child-on-child crime. It was 4 normal children against 1 disabled. And the principal that's still working for Chicago Public Schools, she covered up 10 additional other crimes. Out of them 10 that I know of, I'm the only one that spoke up to, because the other parents were black, and they had a probation officer. The other parents were illegal immigrants, and they, believe me, CPS has tried to call immigration on me. They called immigration on me, but I had it on speed dial. But if you like to look, you need to look at this cover-up. I'm the father of the story that Chicago Tribune found 587 cases. None of them still. My rapers, my child's rapers, they went onto a criminal lifestyle while they destroyed us. You know, I will speak to anybody to seek justice because this crime has not been accounted for since 2010.
Thank you for your comment.
We love you. We love you.
Bobby Kennedy is the next speaker.
We love you. We love
Oh, you're sorry.
We love you.
David or Superintendent Snelling, did you wish to say something?
No, just appreciate everybody's comments.
Okay.
Hi, thanks. Hello, I'm David Orlikoff. I'm elected 14th District Councilor in Humboldt Park, Logan Square. There's a number of district councilors here today, and also a number, concerned with these issues across the city. I'll read a statement that was written by the 12th District Council that a number of us signed. The police killing of Dexter Reed weighs heavily on us as district councilors, some of us whom are West Siders, teachers, and parents of black sons. Our overwhelming consensus is that this should not have happened. We cannot condone the wanton violence that would have been avoided if de-escalation and constitutional policing had been prioritized over jump-out tactics. This interaction was initiated with undue aggression, guns drawn within seconds of approach, screaming, and immediate attempts to pull Dexter from his vehicle, all for a seatbelt violation, supposedly. Plainclothes tactical teams must not be allowed to engage in pretextual traffic stops and stop and frisk tactics while 911 calls across the city consistently go unanswered. That there is an active COPA investigation into the same tactical team, actually 30 complaints, due to their conduct just 1 month before this fatal shooting, underscores the fact that the existing mechanisms of accountability are lacking. That is why many of us marched to pass the ordinance that created the Community Commission for Public Safety and Police Accountability, the CCPSA. There is wording in the ordinance that withholds the power of the CCPSA Commission to directly hire and fire the police superintendent, and this is undercutting any real authority that it should have over the department. Constitutional policing is left at the discretion of individual actors, and the department has proven its inability or unwillingness to self-govern. Without consequences enforced for bad actions, there will never be systemic accountability. When Laquan McDonald was killed, the Chicago Police Department was handed down a mandatory consent decree meant to reform the department and address a pattern of over-policing black communities. I'll finish. The reforms were intended to protect people from negative encounters with police. However, 5 years later, CPD is only 5% in compliance. We cannot wait 100 years to complete police accountability in the city. We have to act now. As we speak, City Council is facing a lawsuit from the ACLU and the police department's practice of racially discriminatory traffic stops. So Dexter Reed should be alive today. We have to ban pretextual traffic stops immediately, ban the tactical teams. The Block Club article released, it was incredible for me to learn that of the 600 tactical officers who are supposed to be responding to violent crimes, there is only one squad car per district that is actually answering 911 calls. So these tactical teams are spending less than 10% of their time on what was supposed to be their purpose when they were created. They are not, and instead of responding to calls for violence, they are creating violence. They are the cause of conflict and harm in our communities, and it has to stop. Every time the police are crying about saying they can't answer 911 calls, they're not trying to answer 911 calls.
Thank you, District Council Member Orlikoff. Is there Olan Mejia? And I think Carlos Zapata spoke. That's all the public speakers that we have today. All members of the public who have signed up to speak have spoken. So is there a motion to adjourn?
I move, Paul Wolf.
All in favor, raise your hands and say aye. Aye. Any opposed? None. The motion passes. I'd like to thank every member of the public who came out today to have their voice heard. It was a lively and spirited discussion, and this is what democracy looks like. Thank you.
Justice!